Hello, this is Jason Brunken,
And
and go ahead.
this is Alvin Yen.
And we're the principals at Happy Kids, and the purpose of this video is to provide a little orientation for new teachers coming in and getting started at Happy Kids. So this video is going to show you things like we're going to talk about what you need to do to get started at Happy Kids. For example, the first week when you come, what are some of the things you need to do and what information is important. We'll also talk about the expectations and guidelines for teachers to remember while you're working at Happy Kids, and go through a few helpful reminders, things to keep in mind as you do your job.
So you will be ready for the school year.
That's right. That's the whole purpose of this video, is to make sure you feel comfortable and that you're ready to get started. So let's get started right away here with talking about getting started at Happy Kids, right, Alvin?
Right, that's correct.
All right. So we're going to talk about the first week of school and what to keep in mind. So here are 5 things that we want, or we feel that teachers really need to do in their first week while at school, especially that first week of in-service. So this includes reading the guidelines for Happy Kids teachers. And so this is going to be a packet that we give to each of you that first day of class, or not class, sorry.
The first day during the teacher in service
week. Service, yeah. We'll give it to you physically. It'll be on paper, but you can also find it digitally. I think it's in the team drive, and it can also be found on the staff page. So if you ever forget something that's on there, or you have a question about the guidelines and rules, you can always find those online, or you can come ask Alvin or me or even Miss Wong if you want to review those at any time. But during the first week and probably the first day, you want to make sure you read through those just so you're clear about the work rules and expectations. We'll also ask you to sign that and turn that in the first couple days. Another important document that's important for both programs, both day program and the ASLA program, is the teacher's manual. We'll talk more about that in a little bit, but these are formidable reads, of course. They're quite long, but they include, they're very detailed, and will detail any activity or task that you need to work on for each program.
Exactly. To put it in a simple manner, you'll have a better idea of what the year will look like for both ASLA and day program.
And what's expected of you for, like, when we say things like do your plans or turn those in. The manual will detail how to do that, what tools to use, and what's expected for that. Another thing you want to do during your first week is review the curriculum you're going to be working with for your particular classes, and also the standards for your classes. These are going to be found both on paper and digitally. Your curriculum for ASLA, at least, will be given to you, the books and everything, and they'll also be put on your computer to review. Standards will be given to you physically on paper, probably in your observation book or in your teacher's manual. They can also be found digitally on the staff page or in the team drives as well.
So for day program, besides the standards, there's also a language goal for each of the class, and you'll also find them in the share folder that I'll be sharing with you, and as well as in the observation book.
Good. Another thing you want to do is familiarize yourself with the school and the resources that can be found there. You're also going to learn about where to find help, like where to find things, who to ask for help when you need it. We're going to go over these 5 things in a bit more detail, so don't worry. First, work rules and teacher's manuals. Again, Alvin and I already talked a little bit about those, but remember, these are documents that you're going to want to read through and understand as clearly as you can. We encourage you to read these in full. I know the teacher's manuals can be quite long, but it shouldn't take you more than an evening of reading, and you'll be very well prepared for your job if you do that.
Exactly.
Yeah. The manuals will be given to you on paper, so those are to be kept physically in your classroom. So they're very, and that's good, so you can reference them whenever you need them.
Exactly. In case if you need to, some of the things that won't be happening until later of the school year, and maybe you need some, when at the point that you need to refresh your memory on those things, you'll have them with you the whole time, as well as some of the information that you're going to need, little things like things that you want to put on a library folder, for example. You will find them in the back of the manuals as well.
Yeah, other important forms are in there. You can just pull them out and copy them whenever you need them. And so I've been teaching here it's probably my 13th year coming up, and I still pull that manual out and reference it for different things. So it's good to read it and keep that on hand. Again, your curriculum and program standards. Your curriculum is going to consist of any books that you're going to be using. it's also going to outline the particular types of lessons you're going to give to the kids throughout the year. Now, the standards are important as well, because I think coming in new to Happy Kids, you don't have a clear understanding of like what exactly you're going to teach to the kids and what direction you need to go. The standards will give you a good idea of what type of learning goals to shoot for when you're doing your planning.
Exactly. I think for both ASLA and day program, it means the same thing, that you should really look through your standards and your language goals and everything before you start planning, so you have a better idea what you're aiming on, all these things that you're trying to do or try to introduce throughout the school year.
Yeah, and if you have any questions about these things, those are great questions for both Alvin or me during that first week.
Exactly.
If you're reading through those, you're not really sure what a standard might mean or how that translates to doing your planning, come talk to us. That's why we're here. Our priority that first week is to make sure you guys are feeling well prepared and comfortable and ready to get started with the year. Getting to know the school, I think this one is one that gets overlooked by new teachers a lot at Happy Kids. I don't know about you. But I think we've come a long way in the last decade or so to make sure teachers are more prepared. We provide, for example, there's a resource map in your teacher's manual to help you track down what kind of resources are here at the school. We have an online library catalog now, so you can kind of search what books are available in the library.
Exactly.
And then we have principals now, which me and you, we didn't have when we
didn't
got
have it back in the days.
So if you aren't really sure where to find something, there's always people around to ask.
Right. Don't hesitate to come to me or come to Jason. Here, the idea is, even if we don't know the answer, we'll help you to look for it. I think bottom line is what we believe here at Happy Kids, in particular, Jason and I, is that it's teamwork. So we have to help each other out when it comes into anything. So don't feel like, oh, it's a silly question, maybe I shouldn't ask the principal or anything. Come to us, because either way, from the way I see it after all these years, I've been working here for, I think this coming year is going to be my 12th year. So we've all, gone through the same process. So don't hesitate to come to us.
Yeah. So there's a lot of help out there, but that's no shortcut for actually learning what's out there yourself. Exactly. And so if you do have that time the first week, it's always good to kind of walk around, peek in the cupboards, flip through the books in the library, and get up to 6th floor. If your classrooms and all your stuff's on 3rd floor, get up to 6th floor and take a look at what's up there too. Because when you are doing your planning, it's good to have that visual library in your head about what you have to work with. So that'll really help you make the most out of the resources we have at school. Finally, just a quick note about getting help. I think the number one rule for new teachers is to, if you are in doubt, you should ask.
Always.
So if you're not feeling sure about something, no matter how ridiculous it might seem, ask the question. It's okay. We like it when you're asking questions. Both Alvin and I, we have plenty of time to answer any questions that you have. If you can't track us down, just send an email really quick or just message us through the Google Hangouts app, and we're happy to get back to you. So again, Alvin and me, as your program principal, we're the ones you should come to first for pretty much any question that you have. But feel free to talk to some of the other teachers too.
Exactly.
Other teachers on our staff have been here for a year or even more, and are really good resources for information regarding how to do your job. A lot of you, if you're a day program teacher, you also have a TA in the classroom, and most of our TAs have been with us for multiple years as well. Some, I think, longer than I've been at the school.
That's correct.
Yeah, and so they know really well about what to expect and what you're going to need to get ready and where to find things. As far as specifics, we do have 2 other admin staff members. We have Sunny and Janice. Janice is very busy, as you'll find out the first week. She's also a kind of director at the school, and so she's pretty busy with other things. So try not to burden Janice too much with questions about like resources, classroom materials, your curriculum, and things like that.
Come to us for that.
She can answer them, but she's pretty busy. For Janice, she's the one you go to if you have questions about your salary, getting paid, the taxes you're paying, and like the insurance that you're paying.
I think anything financial wise that you're welcome to reach out to Miss Janice, like what Jason just mentioned right there. Yeah.
And then for Sunny, she's the one you want to go to if you're going to talk about resources if you need any resources, or you're looking for a resource, or if you need some materials for your classroom. I should also note anything related to immigration and immigration paperwork, your ARC, things like that would also be a question for Sunny.
That's correct. So for example, if you're thinking about a particular color of a paper that we do not carry them in our resource room back there, you can check with Sunny. She might be able to help you to order them. Or like I said, your TA might be very helpful too in terms of where to acquire some of these resources that you're going to need.
That's right. And Sunny will also help you get reimbursed for anything you buy for your classroom. Alvin and I will talk a bit about that process later in the presentation. Yeah, about classroom budget and how to get reimbursed for those things. All right. Now, Alvin and I, we want to talk about the Happy Kids Way, the way we do things at Happy Kids, and things to keep in mind as a teacher in the classroom at Happy Kids. So at Happy Kids, we've been around a long time, more than 20 years doing what we do, and we have a very good reputation because we have a somewhat unique approach to education that isn't found a lot in Happy Kids. In Taiwan, I should say. Yeah, and our parents really appreciate that. And a few years back, we decided to sit down and kind of define our approach to education. And we came up with, on this slide you see, a list of 6 core values that we try to emphasize, and which embody our approach, our curriculum. And so you can see that our core values here on the left: a happy kid is kind, honest, resilient, imaginative, expressive, and growing. And so these are the core values. This works into both our character education in both programs, and it also should play a role in your lesson planning as well. And so this is very important for day program because we do a lot of character education in day program. It's important to keep these values in mind. We also have a set of school rules that are directly drawn from the core values. And your classroom should have a poster for these school rules that are put up at all times. And this is the language we want to encourage teachers to use, right, Alvin?
Exactly.
When talking about the rules at school.
Exactly.
And so you probably won't be sitting down and talking to kids about the core values of Happy Kids, but you will spend a lot of time with the language on the school rules poster.
Exactly.
Go ahead.
One thing that I was going to mention that not only that you'll have a poster of the school rules in your classroom, but also during your first week of school when kids are coming in, do spend some time during your circle time to introduce these rules and how to model the language and so on. It's a good time to not only introduce that to yourself, but to your little ones in your classroom.
Excuse me. I don't want to spend too long talking about the actual rules and what they mean, but we'll give a quick overview of kind of our how would you say, the purpose of each rule.
Of course,
right?
Of course.
And so as you can see, the first rule there is to be an awesome friend. It's related to our core value of kindness.
Be kind.
Yeah, nice. We want the kids to be nice to each other and respect. And that's kind of our main approach at Happy Kids as a teacher, is treating all kids with love and with empathy. And that goes with rule number 1. Be an awesome friend is for everyone at Happy Kids.
Be a good friend, basically.
And so when you're talking to kids and you see kids, fighting, getting in disagreements, you want to remind them to be an awesome friend. And so you're going to do a lot of teaching about what being an awesome friend means. You're going to teach kids how to talk to each other, how to be respectful, and how to listen with empathy to each other. And number 2, making good choices. We're all about choices at Happy Kids. We want kids to learn how to solve their own problems through making choices of their own on how to resolve that. And so a lot of times when kids make mistakes, we don't want to point out their mistake. We want to point out the fact that there was a choice, and they maybe didn't make the best choice.
Exactly. And encourage them that you as a teacher, you do still believe in them, that they will be able to make a better choice the next time.
Yep. Rule number 3, just keep swimming, is related to the core value of resilience.
Keep trying.
We lifted this straight from Pixar, obviously, from Finding Nemo. But we really like the message of Dory from Finding Nemo, of just keep swimming. It's a great message of resilience to kids that, they're going to make mistakes, they're going to fail on certain activities, and you want to remind them that they're only going to get better by, keeping at it and keeping trying. So rule number 3, and that's why we make it a school rule, is, not to quit. Just keep swimming.
Just keep swimming, keep trying.
That's right. Rule number 4 is related to our core value of being imaginative.
Mm-hmm.
That is trying something new.
Exactly.
We want kids to not try and get into their familiar patterns, but to reach out and experiment with new things, obviously in the controlled environment of the classroom and our school.
And that actually, from my perspective as a teacher, as a principal, I feel the same way to me as a teacher, where I've always encouraged teacher to try something new when you start planning for your lessons, like something that you would like to test it out, a new art activity or anything like that. We as an educator, we can be a role model for such things as well.
That's right. These rules are not just for the kids, they're
Exactly.
for us too.
Exactly.
Remember.
Exactly.
Yeah. 6 rules for everybody.
Exactly.
So rule number 5 is use your words, or use your English words, of course, because we're an all English school. It's related to our core value of expressiveness. We want, one thing we really pride ourselves in at Happy Kids is teaching kids to express themselves well using English, both in writing and verbally.
Oral
Yeah, and so that's a big compliment we get throughout the years from kids who have graduated from our programs and moved on. They talk a lot about how Happy Kids has really taught them to use English as an expressive tool. So when they go abroad or go to classes abroad, they can handle that type of learning environment where being expressive and expressing your ideas freely is encouraged.
And I think the idea, what Jason just pointed out, is that our student, by the time they get into the ASLA program, they've been in such an environment for quite a few years. They're so accustomed to the idea of switching gears from Mandarin to English once they enter our school. So the good thing with that is that they're so comfortable with using such language and during school hours, in which we encourage them with a positive manner.
Yeah. And of course, it says English words here because sometimes our students forget that they shouldn't be using Chinese within the walls of the school, not just the classroom, but as soon as they enter the the red doors or the gray door upstairs on 6th floor, they should be using English all the time. And that includes our staff too.
Exactly. Well, one thing I do want to point out though, too, for our little ones in reception and nursery program, we don't push this rule as strong as everybody else, because as we all understand, at that age, between the age of 2 to 3.5, they're still acquiring their first language at the same time. And we still encourage them to use English. Us as a staff, as a teacher, we use English to them, but to them sometimes it's hard for them to express themselves completely in English. So just to be mindful with that.
Yeah. And then finally, the 6th rule here, do your best. Definitely our favorite rule. It's related to our core value of growing, meaning that our goal for all our kids is we want them to grow during their time while they're here, not just physically, of course, but also in character and also intelligence in a lot of ways. And so we know that can only happen through kids doing their best, trying their best each day, because that's really our main expectation for kids, at least in my classroom. I just want to see a student giving me their best, no matter how good it is.
Exactly.
Okay, so again, if you have questions about these values and the rules and how they translate to planning and how you run your day in your class, just come see me or Alvin, and we're happy to help you out with that. All right, so let's talk a little bit about being a Happy Kids teacher. These are just some things we want to remind you of, just to keep in mind. They're very similar, I think, to being a teacher anywhere, but in particular, since we're such a small school, we want our teachers to carry themselves in a certain way, just because we're known for running our classes and providing a certain quality of education.
Exactly.
While here. So these are 4 things we want teachers to be to remember. Remember, you are respectful and kind at all times, not just to your students, of course, but also to parents and coworkers.
Exactly.
We think that's really important. Remember, you are the adult in the classroom, and so it's not cool if you're the one getting angry. Your kids are going to get angry sometimes, but being the adult, it's important to remember to stay calm, be empathetic, listen, try to see things from the students or your parents or even your coworkers' point of view before responding. And if we all treat each other with respect and kindness, we have a great school year.
Oh yeah.
Please keep in mind that children are your priority,
Always.
Number one priority.
Always.
That goes along, with kids' safety, how you use your time at the school, where your attention is. Keep in mind that the children are your number one priority, especially during class time while the kids are in there.
Exactly. Always keep your eyes on the kids. I think that's one thing that we'll always try to encourage a teacher to do so, because, again, when it comes into safety, there's no room for any form of a negotiation compared to anything else. So they are and they will always be your priority.
And then professionalism, of course. That usually we don't have to remind teachers about that too often. I think everyone knows what being professional means.
Exactly.
You have your duties that you need to do, and we expect everyone to get their job done. If you have any questions about the professionalism or what's expected in that, feel free to talk to us. And then, of course, being a team player.
Exactly.
We have a small team of teachers, but we do work together a lot. And for day program teachers, you're working with one or two other teachers every day. And it's important that you're working together and you're being a team player and not an authoritarian figure who is imposing your will all the time. So now we're going to go over some nitty-gritty rules and guidelines that we have at the school that I think are important for teachers to know. Anything beyond this that we talk about, if you have questions after this video, please come see me or Alvin. We're happy to answer them as best we can. So let's talk about putting children first. Now, we already talked a little bit about this when we talked about children being your priority, but this is a very important rule. Pretty much every decision you make while you're at Happy Kids doing your job, you should be thinking about how you're putting the kids first, I think. The way this is going to translate, I think, into your job is, number one, you're going to be making choices that ensure that your classroom and the school is a safe place for all kids. Okay, so that means you're being aware of kind of the dynamic going on in your classroom, how kids are treating each other, making sure that kids are feeling safe in your room. The physical stuff in your classroom, make sure that it's safe and appropriate.
The setup of your classroom, obviously.
Yep, and that whatever choice you're making, that you're putting the kids' safety as number one. And then, of course, while kids are in your classroom, it's important that you have your attention on the kids and not on personal tasks, and that's really important. The world's full of distractions today, the phones in our pockets and a lot of the other things that we have going on. We want to make sure that teachers have those things put away during the school day and that their attention is 100% on the kids and the job that they're supposed to be doing. So that means don't have your back turned to the kids, if you can help it, and try to push like any computer tasks that you need to do to a time when the kids aren't working on activities in your classroom.
Exactly.
Obviously, we want the classroom to be a place for teaching. So things you should not be doing during class time would be eating. Okay, class time is not a time for you to snack. You also shouldn't be messaging or taking messaging or emailing or anything on
anything personal, I guess.
That's true. Sometimes you have to do professional emails or something like that during class time. But any personal tasks on the computer or your phone, you should not be doing at all during class time. And then finally, you should really try not to leave your classroom unattended, right? And this can be tough for ASLA classes because you don't have a teacher assistant who can keep an eye on the class if you need to skip out to the bathroom. If you do need to leave your class for whatever reason, try to find someone who can kind of watch your classroom, whether it's a teacher next door who can kind of keep an eye on both classes really quick, or you can grab someone from administration if they're free to kind of watch your class. So, this is typical teacher stuff. We have to have ironclad bladders if we can help it. So if you try to use the bathroom before class and try not to use the bathroom during class time. Obviously, sometimes there's emergencies and things come up and you have to leave really quick. Just do your best to try to notify someone that you need to step out of the classroom and see if, like Miss Janice or Alvin or me or another teacher can kind of keep eyes on your classroom. And of course, that goes back to safety.
Exactly. It goes just like what Jason mentioned right there. I think bottom line is, even if it's such an emergency to you as a teacher that you have to leave the classroom or anything, your children's priority, safety, which is still the priority, forgive me. Just make sure that you keep in mind that.
So here are some important work rules to keep in mind as a teacher. Number one, and this goes back to the very first days of Happy Kids, it's very important to Miss Wong and Mrs. Wong, who are the directors of our school, that we treat all children equally.
Exactly.
Now, you're gonna learn that your students come from very different backgrounds, and we're known for having some kids whose parents get in the news and on TV a lot, but it's important, even if you do know who those kids are, that you're treating them the same as any other student in your class. Okay, now I've had to teach my own kids in the classroom, and so this rule has been at the front of my mind a lot.
Mhm.
I have to treat even my own kids exactly the same as I treat any other student
Exactly.
in my classroom,
Exactly.
no matter what. So that means same rules, same expectations, things like that for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, for the same reason, information about the children and their families, it's important to keep that confidential.
Exactly.
That's par for the course, I think, for all schools.
Mhm.
You've probably dealt with confidentiality clauses before as a teacher, but for us, it's especially important.
Mm-hmm. And in Taiwan too, in particular.
Yeah, because it's a small community, and for some of our kids, anonymity is very important to their families, and so that includes pictures of students too. You will be taking pictures in your classroom of things that are going on, but it is extremely important that you never share pictures of kids on your own social media accounts. That is an absolute no-no.
Right. Basically meaning that no selfie with you and your students and on your own Instagram or Facebook pages, basically.
That's right. Or your own website or blogs. The only place those pictures can be shared would be a special website that you make for your class that's only shared with the parents. And then from that point, only the administrative team can share pictures of students on Facebook. Okay, so Alvin or me, we will make those choices, not you. So please keep that in mind. If you're used to taking pictures of students in your class and kind of posting them on your Instagram or Facebook, remember at Happy Kids, that's an absolute no. It's important that you're receptive, I think, to feedback, not just from your principals, but also from your coworkers and even parents too. Now, we don't expect you to heed all feedback you're given, but we do want you to be good listeners to feedback, because it's important to help you improve your teaching and how to work with kids. I've been teaching a long time, probably for 15 years now, and even I know I have a lot to learn about working in the classroom.
I agree, Jason. I think to us as a professional educator, it is important it's a learning process along the way, regardless how much you've already acquired. You always hear feedbacks from parents, your fellow team member, or your principal or the director. It's always good to be open-minded and to sit back and think about what you can do to what's the word, Jason?
To improve professionally,
exactly.
Get better in the classroom.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I think teachers, we always have things to learn. And
it's fun to learn new things. That's the way I see it.
Yeah. So be receptive. Both Alvin and I will be giving you feedback throughout the year, offering suggestions for how you can improve certain tasks or your classroom management throughout the year. And we hope that you can be receptive to that, because really our goal is to make sure that you have a successful year. We're on your team, and we just want, we want everyone to remember that we're all on the same team, trying to make sure the kids have the best experience possible.
Yeah, I think what Jason and I were thinking right here is that we're here to help you. So any form of a feedback is to make you and your classroom a better place. And again, we're just here to just support you.
The next one's really important. Absolutely no physical punishment or verbal abuse in the classroom. Okay, it's a big no-no. Corporal punishment is actually illegal in Taiwan, so you can get.
It's still legal.
I said illegal.
I was like, it used to be illegal.
It used to be illegal. It is illegal in the classroom at all schools, so you can get in some serious trouble if you do it. Hopefully that thought doesn't cross your mind. But remember that verbal abuse is also a no-no. And for us, that means using sarcasm, insults, things like that on kids. We want you to approach kids, even your most difficult kids, with a loving, empathetic approach. And hopefully if you're approaching your kids with that mindset, that you love them and welcome them all into your classroom, with that mindset, this will never be an issue for you. Okay, but we all have kids that really push us to the end of our rope sometimes, and it can, you might lose your cool and kind of lash out. It's important to remember that you are the adult and you're the one who's capable of remaining calm, even in the face of a screaming student or parent. Just remember to remain calm, and then these things will not be an issue. And finally, number one rule, of course, putting children's safety first at all times. And so that is most difficult when you're outside of your classroom, I think. The recess room, for example, is a tough one. You got to be double alert. And then also on field trips, when you're taking the kids out and you're not in the confines of the school, you have to be on triple alert, making sure you have all your kids,
Always
making sure
keep your eyes open.
especially the little ones, making sure they're not getting into situations that can be unsafe. So remember, when making choices in the classroom, kid safety should be paramount.
Safety is always a priority.
Okay. Now, when working with each other, I think a lot of these are common sense, but we want a happy working environment for everyone. And we want all our students to feel comfortable here, but we also want all of our teachers to feel comfortable here as well. And so we want you to treat each other with respect when you come in. We want you to trust each other. I think what makes a great team is when we all trust each other to share and express ourselves freely. And I think that means like if we're feeling uncomfortable or unsure about something, we can come out and tell that to each other. And
Exactly.
we don't have to worry about being made fun of or mocked for maybe not getting something that everyone else does.
Which meaning, with respect, right?
Yeah. That's where respect comes in.
Exactly.
And so that climate of trust will really help you feel more comfortable. So remember, whether you have a question, you need help from someone else, or if someone comes to you for help, be a good listener and try your best to lend a helping hand. And then we'll all get along really well. The fourth bullet here is really important, I think. Try not to speak or act on the behalf of any of your coworkers. What that means is if one of your coworkers comes to you with a complaint, or they're not having a good time at school, or they feel something is unfair, don't come to Alvin or me and say like, "Hey, Bob's having a problem in his classroom. He thinks you guys are being unfair." Because in that situation, you're being disingenuous to your coworker. The best thing to do in a situation like that is encourage your friend to come talk to me or Alvin or Miss Wong about whatever the situation is directly. Because remember, a lot of times it's just a misunderstanding and
miscommunication. Anything. I mean, Jason pointed out, like, Jason's been working here for 13 years. I've been working here for 12 years, but both of us are overseeing the day program and the after school program. I mean, although we are very familiar with the program, but yet still there are times that there are challenges or things that you as a teacher encountered in your classroom. We don't get to see that because we're not there. So if there's anything like that, like what Jason just mentioned, come to us or encourage your friend, your coworker to come to us and talk to us. And together we'll be able to work something out and we'll find a way to, resolve whatever that's happening.
Right, because when you're coming and talking on behalf of someone else, that sometimes creates a lot of resentment, and then there's a lot of bad blood in the program, and that's what we want to avoid. That's kind of the main reason for it. If you make the mistake and do this, we'll probably just say, well, why don't you talk to Bob and have him come speak to us?
Exactly. Let Bob do the talk.
It's always Bob with me, huh?
Or Johnny.
Bob
or Johnny.
And Billy. We're off track. Okay, so the last couple here I think are really important. This is a rule I make for myself, and I kind of push it on everyone else. I want all of our teachers and TAs, of course, working to get better all the time at their job. I think that's what defines a good teacher. A good teacher is someone who never feels comfortable in how they're doing their job, but always recognizes that they have areas for improvement and are working to do that. So I encourage you as a new teacher at Happy Kids. I mean, obviously your first year is going to be consumed with learning, the details about working at Happy Kids and our routines and procedures, but try to find one area early in the year that you feel you can improve, and try to, on your own, kind of reach out maybe on Twitter or Facebook or find some books in the library to read up and try to, better that area on your own. It's called self-directed professional development. And I think that's something that all teachers should be constantly doing. And so if you need help setting up, a plan for yourself, you can come talk to me. I encourage building a professional learning network for yourself, which is like, for me, I use Twitter a lot. Connect with other teachers and professionals, so you can, constantly be in, have resources being shared with you and hearing tips and, keeping you inspired to get better every day. Anything you want to add to that?
I think, just again, we're compared to, I think, Jason, when we first started 12, 13 years ago, to acquire information, it's a lot easier nowadays, for sure. Like Twitter's is definitely a good, building up your own professional learning network right there through Twitter or even Facebook. It's always a good, idea. And again, the way we see ourselves as an educator is that we're always at the point that we're trying to working to get better. It's never going to stop regardless. So come talk to us if there's anything we can do to be helpful with.
Yep. And then remember to be professional. We talked about that already, but that's pretty important because it's going to help everyone get along, and it's going to make sure the school year goes smoothly.
Exactly.
And punctuality comes into that as well.
Mm-hmm.
Punctual meaning make sure you're at school on time.
Mm-hmm.
So for most of you, that means being in by 8 o'clock.
Exactly.
And this is Taiwan, so it is the law that you have to punch the time clock.
Mm-hmm.
We're really sorry about that, but that's just how it works.
That's how it works here.
So the time clock is downstairs. So remember when you come in, make sure you beep in. Miss Sunny will show you how to do that on your first day.
Mm-hmm.
So don't worry about that, but punch the clock so you know, so we know you're here on time. But also being punctual goes to all the tasks that you have to complete, and there's a lot of them. And so plans,
sure.
Calendars, certain things need to be done at a certain time.
Progress report.
Yep, staying organized to make sure those things get done on time is going to make sure that you do a good job, and it's going to make sure that the school year runs smoothly.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, some things to remember while you're at school. So this is about behavior.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I mean, obviously a lot of this is common sense, but we feel we need to talk about it because, as you guessed it, a lot of this stuff comes up from year to year from certain teachers. So first of all, use English only, even with parents and staff. Some of you probably are fluent in Chinese, which is awesome. I hope all of you are learning Chinese. It helps you better understand the culture of Taiwan where you are living. But Happy Kids is English only. And as a teacher, you represent that English immersive environment.
Mm-hmm.
And so remember, when you are communicating with parents, even if their English is not very good, you should only be using English in your communication with parents and your coworkers.
Exactly.
That's very important.
Mm-hmm.
If you're having communication troubles with the parent because of the language barrier, you will want to come talk to Alvin or me, and we'll work out a way to get your messages translated with that parent.
And usually when on a day-to-day basis, day program, for example, if I may elaborate a little bit more, let's say if the parents can read in English and you have a message that you want to jot down in your communication book, you can always ask your TA to help. You can always come to me. My Mandarin is all right, so I can help you with that. No problem.
Moving on, dress. Now we get asked a lot of questions about how
dress code,
how you should dress as a teacher at Happy Kids. We're not a suit and tie school, so men, you're not required to wear a suit and jacket and tie every day. Ladies, you're not required to wear dress and business attire every day. But I will say this: there are clothes that are definitely off limits. Anything obviously too revealing, anything that looks like you just came from the club. Anything that's dirty or anything that probably is common sense unbecoming of a teacher, we would probably have to talk to you about. Mm-hmm. Use common sense when dressing. It's okay if you come in a t-shirt and jeans every day. That's fine. Mm-hmm. However, remember, Taiwan is just like anywhere else in the world. How you dress is going to reflect the type of person you are. Mm-hmm. Maybe not so much to the kids, but definitely to the parents. Mm-hmm. And so I know I personally will wear a button-up collared shirt tucked in almost every day, or a Happy Kids t-shirt, because I want to represent myself well and professionally to parents. Yeah, of course. And so, keep in mind how you dress is going to reflect a little bit on you as a teacher. So try to find a good middle ground between comfort and presentability. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Obviously, no smoking, drinking, or bad words on campus while you're on duty, of course. And if you're on duty off campus, you definitely don't want to be doing those things as well. If you are a smoker, you can smoke outside of the building during your break times, which you have a couple throughout the day. And then, I don't think there's much more to say about that yet. Written communication, this one's important. So when you are communicating with parents, most of the time you're going to be doing that with email or through your communication book. Now, if you are writing emails, all emails with parents should be CC'd to your program principal. So if you're teaching in nursery and you're writing an email to Billy's dad, in nursery, you're going to CC Alvin that email. And if you're teaching fourth grade and you're emailing, Johnny's dad about something, you're going to CC me. Okay, when you do that, and that's just that makes sure that we're aware of the communication going on, and that's really for your protection.
Exactly.
Because sometimes parents
they'll call us. This is usually what will happen. Like with a comment that or a suggestion coming from you via email. Sometimes they'll call us back and ask for more assistance. So to us, in a way, when you CC us, we have a better idea of like what's the conversations about. So if the parents ended up calling us for further assistance, or if they have any particular concerns, we will have something to, we'll be aware of in the first place, and we'll be able to respond then from there.
Yeah, and it's also a way for us to get your back. Sometimes our emails are not interpreted correctly, whether that's because of the language you chose or it's the culture.
Right.
Certain phrases translate weird for some people, and
that can be
and so if a miscommunication like that arises, we're aware of what you're trying to say, and we're able to get your back and talk to the parent about that and help you out. If we're in the dark, it's really difficult for us to come to your defense because we're unaware of what's going on. So please remember, any email you send to a parent, make sure you CC us so that way we're aware of the communication.
Or another thing that I guess it's more common in day program, where sometimes parents will ask for certain things and you don't know what to say. Come to me. I'll help you to work on the proper response to that. And what Jason just pointed out is very important too. We got your back. So if there's anything right there, make sure you CC us.
Yeah. And then also, this comes straight from the top, and this also goes with rule number 2 about making good choices. We want to be making healthy choices for the kids. So if you are giving snacks in the classroom, please try to refrain from giving the kids junk food. That means like throwing candies at them, anything that's too sugary or too salty or too fattening. So popcorn, for example, is a good healthy choice snack that you can do. Nut mixes, fresh fruits and things like that. Right. You also no sodas, and then we have some parents who have problems with teas too for kids. So we actually,
caffeine.
Yeah, because we actually ask teachers not to even serve drinks. So if you're wondering what kind of snacks can I give kids? A lot of times I just tell teachers look, just let them drink water and then give them some popcorn, to go with the movie.
Right. Like if you throw in a party for your ASLA program, that would definitely be a good choice. For day program, if I may point out, you'll be doing kitchen center every other week. When it comes to that, the ingredients or whatever snacks or pastry that you're trying to make sure you hold on to the same mindset, not too sugary. And again, try to keep it as healthy as you can be, meaning that no use of any form of junk food for that.
Okay, so off school grounds, I'm going to go through this kind of quickly because I think a lot of this is common sense. But I think the most important thing to take away is that even when, as a teacher, I think this is the same no matter where you teach. When you teach, as a teacher, you're going to be representing the school no matter where you go. Exactly. So if you run into a parent at Taipei 101 or at the train station, it's no different than if you're running into a parent at our school on campus. And so it's important to conduct yourself in the appropriate manner no matter where you are. One thing about Taiwan is, as a foreigner, if you get in trouble with the law, one of the first things they're going to find out about you is where you work. And so keep in mind that your behavior can reflect on the school outside of school. So we just ask you to, try to conduct yourself accordingly. Now, we're not saying don't go out and have fun. We're just saying just be mindful of when you are in public places that you could be seen by a parent or a student. And so, remember to conduct yourself appropriately. A couple other things to keep in mind is you are not allowed as a Happy Kids employee to accept employment or pay from one of our students' parents. So this includes tutoring as well. And if you're at Happy Kids for more than a year, you probably will be asked to tutor by one of our parents. Right. It happens a lot. It's common in Taiwan, but it's a rule at our school that our teachers cannot tutor current Happy Kids students.
Right. I think teachers will find out more details about it. You'll be able to find out more details about it in the guidelines that we're going to pass out.
The work rules detail this. We just want to point it out again just to make sure you know. But remember, this can include any request from a parent They might ask you to do something special for their company's like business retreat, and say, we'll put you up in a hotel in Kending,
or translate something.
or like, gee, just help me edit this, something. I'll pay you so much for that. All of that qualifies as work and can get you in trouble. So if you are approached by anything like this while you're at school, just make sure you inform Alvin or me that a parent asks you to do something like that, and then we'll get the message to them about why. So that way you don't have to feel embarrassed about turning them down. We can just, we'd be happy to talk to them about why, you're not able to do those things for them. And it's also important not to take students on non-school related outings. Okay. And that's just for your protection, because you can, something bad happens, then you can get in a lot of trouble for that. So we would rather, just interact with your students at school, and then interact with them on a professional basis, like on field trips and stuff. Wait till they graduate if you're fortunate enough to stay at our school for that long, and then then you can build that kind of extra, that personal relationship with them. So if you don't know anything about East Asian culture, giving gifts policy. Giving gifts is a big part of East Asian culture, especially when it comes to parents and teachers. This policy is here because it's been a problem probably for as long as the school's been around. The general rule is you do not accept gifts, invitations, anything that has monetary value from a Happy Kids parent, unless it is shared 100% with the rest of the Happy Kids staff. So what that means is if you have a parent who's really happy about how hard you've worked with their child and the progress that their child has made, they might feel really good about that. And so they show up one day with a brand new iPhone 10 for you. Is it iPhone 10 or iPhone X? The new iPhone. They show up with the new iPhone. It happened before. Obviously, really nice. You obviously want the phone. Who wouldn't, right? But that's a lot of bad things can come from that. And I'd rather not get into it too much, but obviously you can imagine the kind of animosity that might develop between you and your coworkers. You can think a little bit if another student saw that and they go home and tell their parents about the gift that, Billy's dad is giving to the teacher. You can imagine the kind of pressure that the parents might feel.
And another thing is this is also a part of the culture here in Southeast Asia too. When, parents present such gift to you, they would assume that by offering you such gift, their child will receive from, if I may use the word, a bit more of attention from you, which it goes against to the rule that we discussed earlier, equality, where we treat all our kids equally. And that's another thing that I want to add on to that.
Right. So yeah, no gift is given freely. It may seem they're very happy and generous and they're giving you the gift, but there's, they are expecting a little something in return for that. And that's something that you can't offer because you are required to be equal in your treatment for all kids. So if a parent does offer you something, even as awesome as a new iPhone or like a weekend at a 5-star hotel, you need to politely decline. Now, a parent might offer you a whole box of candies, for example. That's something you can accept. And you say, thank you. I will share these with all of Happy Kids. We appreciate your gift.
Exactly.
And then those gifts can be, gifts like food are really easy to share. Right. So we encourage parents, if they want to give gifts, they give food that can be shared among the entire staff. So you can accept that and just make sure you let them know that you will be sharing it with the entire staff of Happy Kids. And then, we have a kitchen table back in the kitchen where you can just put those on and then we'll
think an easy way to do it would be whenever you receive something like that, make sure you pass the message through, let the parents know that you will be sharing with everyone here at Happy Kids. You can hand the gift to us, and then the admin team will help to distribute. So let's say it's 8:30, you're getting ready for your day, and parents came in with something like that. Let us help you to take care of that, so you don't have to worry about like distributing the foods. We'll take care of that. And I myself as a principal and Jason too, we will write a thank you card that, that can go home right there to thank them for bringing such delicious treats to share with all of us right here.
Yeah. And sometimes you're going to be given a gift and it might be impossible to give it back at the moment, or you're not really sure how to give it back. You can come to admin, come to me or Alvin or Miss Janice or somebody, and we can, we'll get it back to the parents and deliver the message that.
That's something that you can talk to Janice too. If let's say Jason and I or Sunny's are not available, you can let her know that, this parent brought in whatever this, it can't be shared. So can I leave it to you, Miss Janice? And usually what Janice will do, or what I will do, is I'll call the parents and let them know that we were really thankful for your support, but we can't accept these things. So please do come and pick them up.
Yeah, just don't keep it. I mean, this has happened to me. I've been doing dismissal, and then I had some
Parents
parent
came to you with
this
like a giant box of Lego. I remember that.
Yeah,
So
this
like
giant
Japanese
toy for my daughter. Like, here, this is for Sabrina. Take it. And then it was like in the middle of dismissal. I don't have time to like have that conversation with her, and so I had to take it up, and then we had to talk to the parent later. So it does happen. Just remember, be polite always. You can, and then come talk to us. Obviously, when you're not really sure if something's okay, you should always ask us, and we'll let you know. Remember, sometimes these gifts they're not just stuff that they give to you. It might be something like invitation to dinner, it might be birthday parties or something like that. And so be mindful. If it does have monetary value, do your best to politely refuse it, and then come talk to us if you're not okay with something that's being offered to you. Okay, sick leave. This shouldn't take very long. Basically, here at Happy Kids, you do have what's called sick leave, and so that you get half pay for any day that you're sick. Now, please keep in mind that we don't have a huge staff, and so when you are sick, we do have to find someone to cover your class, and that can mean extra duties for someone. So if you can help it, please, try not to excessively call in sick. But there are those days when you can't come in because you're sick or you have to see the doctor for whatever reason.
We understand. But again, it can be quite a challenge to both Jason and I to find someone to sub for you. At times, a lot of times, Jason and I will have to step in, and that can be a challenge throughout the year sometimes.
So to get sick pay, that means get your half pay for on a sick day, you do need to see the doctor. So even if it is a cold, if you do want to get your sick pay, you're going to have to go into a doctor and then show us a receipt. So we know, and that's just passed down from higher up than us.
Yeah. For that receipt, you can forward it to Miss Janice. Again, Miss Janice is in charge of that.
And if you have a question about how this works, you can talk to Miss Janice. That's a good question for her. Please keep in mind, when you do need a sub for your class, Alvin or me, we're the ones who will arrange it. Don't call in sick and say it's okay, my friend Joe can come in and sub for me. We don't do that at this school. We usually only allow teachers that have been vetted by us to actually come and sub your class. So just let us know as early as possible. I prefer phone call, but an early email is okay as well.
Please, the early the better. Better.
If you know the day before, that's fine, and then we'll
we can start.
We'll do that.
We can work something out for you.
Finally, personal leave. A couple of things to mention about personal leave. Please, if you do need to take personal leave, there's an online form that you fill out. It is found on the staff page, and we'll show that at the end of the video, how to get there and what to do with that. Please try to notify us of any personal leave you have at least 2 weeks before you need to take it. Sometimes that's not possible, but please do the best you can. The more advanced notice we have, the easier it'll be for us to arrange sub for your class. One last thing, we encourage teachers, all personal leave needs to be approved by your principal. So a day here and there is fine, but if you're trying to take more than one day at a time, it probably won't be approved just because it's difficult for us to find subs for that long period of time. That's why we give you the full week at Christmas for vacation. You get 2 full weeks off at Chinese New Year, and you have time off in the summer to take those longer trips and to go back and see folks and stuff wherever you go. Personal leave should be for emergencies when on those days where you have to take care of things that need to be taken care of during school hours. So that's why the form's going to ask you for a reason. Finally, in the second bullet here points out that extending the school holiday is something we want teachers to refrain from doing too. We only allow one teacher to extend a holiday. So what that means is you get a week off at Christmas, but let's say you want to, tack on a couple, another day or two to your Christmas vacation. So you take personal leave on like the Thursday and Friday before Christmas break. If you're the first one to request those days off, you'll probably get it granted. But if, let's say, Alvin's already requested those days off and then you want it, you're not going to get it. Yeah. So keep that in mind before you book your airplane. Make sure, that those extended holiday days have been approved before you buy the ticket. This has actually happened in the past where a teacher bought her ticket and then
they came to us and said, I need this extra day.
But another teacher had already
have
had
already
that time
asked,
off.
yeah,
And then it
exactly.
turned into, lost some money on that, and it was not good. We
It's
don't
good.
like to be in those situations, so that's why we're letting you know this information ahead of time.
Yeah, plan early and talk to your fellow teachers too, and see if anybody else, work something out.
Because sometimes if someone wants to extend Christmas, then you can, go and extend Chinese New Year, and it works out that
That's
way.
correct.
We already talked about email and communication, but just a few extra things. Remember, you're going to be given a Happy Kids, or you have been given a Happy Kids email account. This is your main tool for communicating with staff and parents, other than the phone. In fact, this is the only email account you should be using to communicate with parents. And remember, you're CCing. Any communication with parents, you're going to be CCing Alvin or me, depending on what the class is. Okay, so keep that in mind. There's also a messaging tool. We ask you to only use the Google Hangouts or Google Hangouts Meet messaging tools for text communication with your fellow coworkers. That keeps, that just keeps all your work stuff within those apps. You're not worrying about splitting it all between like Line and WhatsApp and all those other things. Because email is very important, we do, like Alvin and I were very busy. I have my classes to teach, so sometimes it's easier for us to share information through email rather than like holding meetings and talking to you. That saves your time too. But because of that, we need to make sure that you are checking your email several times a day. Google Chrome makes it very easy to open your email and keep it pinned in your browser, so it's always open. I think all of you have smartphones now. The Gmail app will keep you connected to your Happy Kids email account all the time as well. So it shouldn't be difficult to be aware of what emails are coming in throughout the day. Just, keep in mind that's one of your duties, is being aware of what emails are coming in. And then remember that when you are using your Happy Kids account, you need to make sure your communication is appropriate at all times. That means your use of language, emoji, your avatars, anything like that is representative of all the things that we've talked about.
Exactly.
About being a professional and a teacher at Happy Kids. Anything you want to add to that?
No. Just whenever you're reaching out to the parents or replying to email, CCS, always remember.
Yeah.
And if you're not too sure what to say, talk to us first.
Good. Now, technology is a big part of what we do here at Happy Kids. You do have computers in your classroom, but remember, those are not really allowed to be used during class, especially for personal stuff. Now, obviously, if you are using the computers or your phone or other devices for an activity, an instruction with the kids, then obviously it needs to be on. But remember, if your kids are working on like their practice book pages, that doesn't mean you're on your computer typing
This
away
is something that I've been trying to emphasize throughout the year, and I would like to do it again, is that Date program, for example, which I would assume, Jason, that we apply the same rule to ASLA too. Let's say if you want to present a song, a video for your little one during circle time, you go to your computer, you turn it on, you click play. That's no problem. That's not going to be a problem. But while like what Jason was mentioning, like if your kids are working on their practice book pages, let's say in ASLA, and you start working on your planning, that I would tell you not to do so, because you have your prep time. Again, when your kids are in your classroom, although they're all sitting nicely working on their practice book pages, please keep your eyes on them. Please do that. And the same thing applies to Date program too. During center time, during nap time, during any time where if you need to turn something on, please do so, but please do not sit in front of the computer, because a lot of time you're going to turn your back against the kids while you're doing that because you're at the desk. That goes back to safety again. So please do not do that throughout the day. And I understand that sometimes there are things that you have to look into a minute or two. I understand. But if I see you sitting there, then I'll have to knock on the door. I'm sorry.
And keep in mind that the school computers and Chromebooks that we have here are school property. So you have no expectation of privacy on those. Also, your Happy Kids account, you should not expect privacy with that either, because remember,
anything personal, please use your personal email,
personal devices. Try not to install applications for personal use on your computer, your school computer, for example, like iTunes and the Apple stuff, unless you absolutely need it for like getting pictures off your phone. I would rather not that software was put on those computers. They're old, and iTunes is a bit cumbersome now. And so I'd rather it's not on there, just so you can listen to your music and stuff. Remember, if you are using your own phone to take pictures, be careful how you share and where those pictures go.
Mhm.
If you have your what do you call it, your camera roll automatically uploading to something like Google Photos or to Instagram or something like that, find a way to separate that, because when you're taking pictures of the kids, the only place those should be going should be in the special places that those pictures are meant to go for school. Okay, so lastly, we're almost done here. We're just going to talk about how to get extra resources if you need them for your classroom. So obviously the school is loaded with resources.
That's
All of you
correct.
have, by this point, have taken a tour and you've kind of walked around and seen what we have. But sometimes there's something else you need. It's not in the cabinet. It's not back in the art supplies, and you need to go out and buy something. In that case, you're welcome to go buy it, and there's a budget for your class that you can use to get reimbursed for anything you buy for your classroom, up, of course, until you exceed your budget. Now, when you do this, we ask that you get a receipt with the school's tax ID number on it, and you can see it listed here, 97975317.
That's correct. And I will be giving you a text card with the name of our school and the tax ID number on it too. And so basically it's all in Chinese. In case if anything's lost in the communication, you can just present the card to the shop and they can read it and they'll take care of it from there.
That's right. And then you just keep that receipt, bring it into Miss Sunny. You fill out what's called an expenditure voucher, which is just a little slip of paper, and then Miss Sunny will get you your money back within a day or two. Please keep in mind that any purchases that are larger than $500, you do need to make sure that Alvin or me approve that purchase first. Okay, so if you need something big for your classroom and it's expensive, you're going to want to talk to us first. Don't buy it first and then come to us and say that I need this much money back. We're going to have a problem with that. That's just because we want to make sure that anything big we buy is going to be it's going to be a good investment for the school.
Exactly.
And so the school trusts Alvin and me to make those decisions. And remember that the budget is for the kids and it's not for you. Okay, so don't be using your school budget for like a new coffee cup. Don't be using the school budget for
a new set of speaker for your computer.
That's right. Or new headphones because you lost yours on the bus or something like
new
that.
New shoes. No.
Remember, whatever you're using your budget for should be used for the kids and for your instruction. And remember, if there's something we don't have or you're not sure if we have it, remember to ask first before you go out and buy it.
Check with your TA. Let's say if you're looking for a particular pipe cleaner or a particular color of paint that you thought you looked through everything, you can't find it. Talk to your TA first because they're always there in your classroom. If they're not available, come talk to me. Or if you need the particular paintbrushes that you want to use for your art center the week after or anything, I might be able to help you to acquire them, or I might have an extra set of it in my office that I can share with you.
And I would say Miss Sunny too. If it's art especially, you can talk. I would ask her first because she often knows the cheapest place to get it. And so if you need like more paper, she can usually get that cheaper than if you just run to the stationery store.
Right.
So think in advance. Try to think about what you're going to need 2 or 3 days before you need it.
For sure.
And that way you can get it in plenty of time, and we can get it at a good price.
Especially if you want something like what Jason just mentioned from Sunny. Make sure you talk to her. I would say give her a couple of days so she can order from our supplier with a better price too. Almost there.
Almost there. So we want to show you the staff webpage really quick. This is a place where you can find most of the most important information, and you can kind of go back over some of the things this video talked about. And so really quick, we'll jump to that. There's if I can find my mouse. There it is. So you can see here, this is the school website. And if you get to the school website and you don't see this staff only tab here at the top, you just want to scroll down here to the bottom and you'll see a quick sign in tab down here at the bottom.
Yeah, because Jason's already signed in, so you don't see it right there.
That's right.
And once you sign in, you'll see that what Jason did. Staff only.
I can show that really quick. So again, the school website's happykids.taipei. Super easy to remember. And so you might come and you won't see that staff page here at the top. To sign in, you go down here at the bottom, you'll see a sign in tab. Just click there. It's going to ask you to enter your Google account information. You might have to do it twice. I'm not really sure why. It's just kind of how Google works. But once you sign in, you will eventually be able to see this staff only tab, and that'll take you to a page like this where you can find most of the important information you need, like what the library schedules are for each program, important dates, the digital teacher's manual, academic calendars, videos to help you do things, even forms. And then, of course, we mentioned personal leave. If you need to make personal leave, that link to that form is right here on this page. And so you can just click there, fill it out, and you're done. All right. Anything you want to add before we're done, Alvin?
I think bottom line is just whenever you have a question or a concern of a certain thing, come talk to us. I think part of the reason that Jason and I are at this position is, well, one of the main reasons, if I may say, is to further assist all of you. And I, myself, and Jason, we both believe in teamwork. When we work together, that's where we get our kids to shine in their own ways. So whenever there's something that we can be helpful, don't feel like, oh, it's going to be a silly question I don't want to ask. Come to us, because that's how you learn, and that's how you improve yourself as a professional.
So remember, you're awesome already. That's why we hired you.
Oh, yeah.
So remember, bring your uniqueness and creativity. The first few weeks are going to be busy, but work hard, ask for help, and you'll have a great start for Happy Kids. And